Hey there, my name's Alex, and I've been working the night shift at this small, out-of-the-way gas station for about a year now. It's one of those places that's only ever busy during daylight hours, and once the sun sets, it becomes eerily silent. I've had my fair share of strange occurrences, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened one fateful night. It was a typical Tuesday evening. I had just settled into the monotony of the night shift. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as I lazily flipped through a magazine to pass the time. The only sound was the occasional rustle of leaves outside and the distant hum of passing cars on the nearby highway. Around midnight, I noticed a flicker in the overhead lights. Brushing it off as a mere glitch, I continued my routine. But as the minutes ticked by, the flickering intensified, casting erratic shadows across the store. I decided to check the circuit breaker, thinking it might just be a minor electrical issue. The moment I stepped into the storage room, an unsettling chill crept down my spine. The room was dimly lit, and the air felt heavier, suffused with an unexplainable tension. I fumbled for the circuit breaker, and just as I was about to reset it, the lights went out completely. Suddenly, I was engulfed in complete darkness. I strained my ears, but the only sound I could hear was the faint creaking of the store settling. Panicking, I reached for my flashlight, only to find it missing from its usual spot. A sense of dread washed over me as I fumbled through the dark to find another light source. With the feeble glow of my phone, I managed to navigate my way back to the main area of the gas station. That's when I noticed it, the unsettling sensation of being watched. I scanned the surroundings, half expecting to see a pair of eyes peering at me from the shadows. I called out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" No response. Just the eerie echo of my own voice bouncing off the silent walls. As I made my way to the cash register to grab a backup flashlight, a low, guttural whisper echoed through the air. "Alex." My heart pounded in my chest as I shone the flashlight around the empty store. The whisper persisted, growing louder and more distinct. It seemed to be emanating from the direction of the restrooms. Trembling, I approached cautiously, my footsteps echoing in the silent void. The restrooms were empty, but the atmosphere was thick with an otherworldly presence. The flickering lights overhead cast dancing shadows on the walls, and that's when I saw it. A figure, barely perceptible, standing at the far end of the hallway leading to the restrooms. My breath caught in my throat as I tried to make out the details. It was a silhouette, featureless and shrouded in darkness. The whisper now turned into an unsettling chant, as if a chorus of ghostly voices filled the air. "Alex, join us, Alex." Terrified, I stumbled backward, my mind racing to comprehend the surreal scene before me. The figure advanced slowly, its shadowy form elongating with each step. Panic set in, and I bolted towards the exit, the haunting chant echoing behind me. As I burst through the doors into the cool night air, the lights inside the gas station flickered back to life. I turned back to see the figure dissipate into the vanishing shadows. The air seemed to lighten, but the chilling echoes of that ghostly chant lingered. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that something otherworldly had reached out to me that night. The gas station remains a place of whispered tales among locals, a warning to those who dare to venture into the desolate night shift alone. As the clock struck midnight, Emily found herself alone in the dimly lit office building, surrounded by the eerie silence of the night. She had volunteered for the night shift, thinking it would be a quiet and uneventful night. Little did she know that the empty halls held secrets that would soon unfold. The flickering fluorescent lights cast long shadows, creating an unsettling atmosphere as Emily sat at her desk, typing away on her computer. The rhythmic sound of her fingers on the keyboard was the only noise that echoed through the otherwise silent office. The hum of the air conditioning and the distant whir of the photocopier were the only signs of life in the deserted workspace. As Emily delved deeper into her work, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every now and then, she would glance over her shoulder, expecting to see a colleague or a custodian making their rounds. However, each time she turned, there was nothing but empty corridors and closed office doors. As the hours passed, Emily's unease grew. She began to hear faint whispers, indiscernible and ghostly. They seemed to emanate from the dark corners of the office, teasing her sanity. She dismissed them as mere figments of her imagination, blaming the late hour for playing tricks on her mind. Suddenly, the computer screens throughout the office flickered, and the room was plunged into darkness. Emily's heart raced as she fumbled for her phone, the only source of light in the pitch-black room. She dialed the building's security, desperately trying to quell the rising panic within her. The security guard, his voice crackling over the phone, assured Emily that it was probably just a power surge and that he would check the electrical room. As she waited in the darkness, Emily heard footsteps echoing through the halls, growing louder with each passing second. Her breath caught in her throat as she strained to listen. The security guard's voice returned over the phone, this time shaky and uncertain. He claimed that the electrical room was empty, yet the footsteps persisted. Emily's mind raced with fear as she realized she was truly alone in the building. Deciding to investigate the source of the mysterious footsteps herself, Emily cautiously made her way through the inky blackness, guided only by the feeble glow of her phone. The air felt thick with an otherworldly presence, and a cold chill ran down her spine as she turned each corner, revealing nothing but the empty darkness. As she approached the end of a corridor, Emily heard a low, guttural growl emanating from the shadows. A shiver ran down her spine as she strained to see what lurked in the blackness. The growl grew louder, more menacing, sending waves of terror through her. Then, with a sudden jolt, the lights flickered back to life. Emily found herself standing alone in the corridor, the growls replaced by the familiar hum of the office equipment. She hesitated, trying to comprehend the surreal experience she had just endured. Shaken, but determined to finish her work, Emily returned to her desk. However, the unsettling feeling lingered, and she couldn't shake the sensation of being watched. As the night wore on, strange occurrences continued to unfold. Papers shuffled on their own, doors creaked open, and shadows danced along the walls. In a final attempt to rationalize the inexplicable events, Emily decided to review the security footage. As she watched the recordings, her blood ran cold. The footage showed her moving through the office, but there was something else. A shadowy figure that mirrored her every step, lurking just out of sight. Terrified, Emily realized that she was not alone in the office. An unseen presence, a ghostly doppelganger, had shared the night shift with her. The whispers, footsteps, and growls were the haunting echoes of a presence that defied explanation. As the first light of dawn broke through the windows, Emily gathered her belongings, leaving the office with a newfound appreciation for the thin veil that separates the living from the supernatural. The night shift, once a mundane task, had transformed into a harrowing journey into the unknown, leaving Emily forever changed by the horrors she had witnessed in the lonely corridors of the office building. I've been working the night shift at a local food delivery joint for a few months now. The gig pays the bills, but the real kicker is the eerie solitude that comes with navigating the city's dimly lit streets in the dead of night. It was during one of these night shifts that I stumbled upon an experience that still sends shivers down my spine. One particularly gloomy evening, the rain was falling relentlessly, adding an extra layer of desolation to the quiet streets. The neon lights from the city's establishments cast long, distorted shadows, giving the entire neighborhood a haunting vibe. As a delivery guy, I was used to the solitude, but that night was different. It felt like something was lurking in the shadows, just beyond my peripheral vision. I received an order for a small, run-down apartment building on the outskirts of town. The rain battered against the windshield as I navigated through the winding streets. The GPS guided me to a dimly lit street where the flickering street lamp overhead cast a ghostly glow on the wet pavement. The building itself seemed like it hadn't seen maintenance in years, and the rusty stairs creaked with every step I took. The delivery instructions were straightforward. Leave the package at the doorstep and ring the bell. Simple enough, right? But as I approached, an unsettling feeling settled in the pit of my stomach. The air was thick with an unspoken tension that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the building. The flickering light in the hallway made it difficult to discern the numbers on the doors. I finally located the correct apartment, and as I approached, I noticed the door slightly ajar. The rain had soaked through my jacket, and a chill ran down my spine as I pushed the door open with cautious hesitation. Inside, the apartment was unnervingly silent. The only sound was the rhythmic tapping of the rain against the window. I called out, announcing the delivery, but my voice seemed to get swallowed by the oppressive stillness. The flickering light bulb overhead cast long, dancing shadows that played tricks on my imagination. I left the package on a rickety table and turned to leave when I heard a soft whisper, almost like a distant murmur. My senses heightened as I strained to make out the words. It was as if the very walls were whispering secrets. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead as I realized the whispering was getting closer, surrounding me. Panicking, I fumbled for the door, but it wouldn't budge. The once slight creaking of the stairs outside seemed to amplify, resonating through the silence like an ominous symphony. The air grew heavier, and an indescribable dread enveloped me. I could feel eyes on me, though I saw no one. In a desperate attempt to escape, I pounded on the door, the sound reverberating through the narrow hallway. The whispering escalated into a haunting chorus, echoing through the apartment like a sinister incantation. The shadows seemed to writhe and contort, taking on unnatural forms that danced around the room. As I continued to pound on the door, a sudden gust of wind blew through the open window, extinguishing the flickering light bulb. The apartment plunged into darkness, and the whispering reached a deafening crescendo. Just as I thought I couldn't bear it any longer, the door swung open, and I stumbled out into the rain-soaked hallway. I ran down the stairs, the echoing whispers fading with each step. The building seemed to exhale a sigh of relief as I burst through the entrance into the night. The rain had intensified, washing away the remnants of the eerie encounter. I sprinted back to my car, heart pounding, and peeled away from that forsaken place. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that something otherworldly lurked in the shadows of that apartment building. The memory of that night still haunts my dreams, a chilling reminder that there are places where the line between reality and the supernatural becomes dangerously thin, especially when you find yourself alone in the dead of night.